Hello and welcome back. Today's mini lesson is going to be about parallel lines and perpendicular lines on the coordinate plane. Okay, so it's a few formulas that we need to know if we want to try to complete this type of work. The first formula, the slope formula, is m is equal to y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. Slope intercept form is y is equal to mx plus b, where m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. The standard form of that is the standard form of a line is ax plus by equals c. The point slope formula is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Okay. And if we had to describe the slopes of parallel lines, the slopes are the same. The same slope. And if we had to describe the slopes of perpendicular lines, they are opposite reciprocals. Opposite reciprocals. Okay. And remember, opposite means one has to be negative, one has to be positive. And reciprocal means that your fraction gets flipped, right? So that would be b over a, all right? And that's that. So let's go ahead and take a look at these three questions here, these next couple questions. For questions 20 through 22, determine if line AB and line CD are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. So parallel, perpendicular, or neither. We're going to have to separate these. They're already telling us that we need to find a slope between A and B and then find a slope between C and D. And this pretty much is a way an indicator to let us know. So we have to use our slope formula, which means we have to label our points. x1, y1, x2, y2. And remember, the slope formula tells us to do y2 minus y1. So y2 is 4, y1 is 5, over x2 minus x1. x2 is negative 8 minus x1, which is negative 11. Now, because we have a double negative right here, that's really says plus. So when we evaluate that, 4 minus 5, that's negative 1. Negative 8 plus 11 is positive 3. So the slope of AB is negative 1/3. Now we need to do the slope of CD. x1, y1, x2, y2. Remember, the slope formula says y2 minus y1. So y2 is negative 4, y1 is negative 7. And then on the bottom, we should have x2 minus x1, which is negative 1 minus 8. Now on the top, once again, we have a double negative, so we can add. So when we evaluate, that's going to become positive 3. And on the bottom, that is going to make negative 9. Which, when we simplify this fraction, that can be simplified to negative 1/3, okay? So our slope here is also negative 1/3. And remember, all fractions must always be simplified all the time. Now, because the two slopes are the same, that means that these two are parallel, okay? Let's take a look at number 22. Number 22, once again, we're doing the same process here. So x1, y1, x2, y2, x1, y1, x2, y2. Our slope formula calls for y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So 15 minus 8 on the top, 1 minus negative 3 on the bottom. And in the denominator, we have double negatives, so we can really add. This is going to make 7 divided by 4, so 7/4. Okay, now we got to do CD. CD is going to be m equals y2 minus y1, so negative 5 minus negative 9. And then x2 minus x1 And on the top, once again, we have what we call double negatives, okay? So we can add. That's going to make this positive 4 divided by negative 10, which we can just say is negative 4/7. Now, if it helps, we can put a plus sign here because this is positive. So they are opposites because one's negative, one's positive, and they're reciprocals because if you look at the fractions, they're flips of each other. So this makes these two perpendicular because they're opposite reciprocals. Number 22. Number 22, once again, one more time, we're going to do x1, y1, x2, y2, x1, y1, x2, y2. When you do math, it helps to create a routine when you're solving problems. It helps with memory and getting the problem done. So y2 minus y1, that's 4 minus negative 3. And then x2 minus x1, which is 9 minus 9. Now on the top, once again, we have double negatives. So when we evaluate that, that's going to become 7 divided by 0. And anything divided by 0 is undefined. So our slope for AB, I'm just going to put U, which stands for undefined. Now let's take a look at the next one. We got M equals y2 minus y1. So 6 minus 10 divided by x2 minus x1. That's negative 2 minus negative 2. Once again, we have double negatives on the bottom, which means we're going to have to add. That becomes negative 4 divided by 0. Once again, anything divided by 0 is undefined. And when so two undefined lines are basically two vertical lines. The slopes are the same, which means that these two are parallel, okay? And that's going to conclude part 1 of our lesson, our mini lesson on parallel lines and perpendicular lines on the coordinate plane. See y'all back for the next one.